Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into the heavy hitters of basement plumbing. We're talking about those unsung heroes hidden right below our feet, working tirelessly to protect our homes. But more importantly, we're here to untangle a really common, honestly very messy point of confusion that could absolutely save you from a costly and, frankly, unsanitary disaster. We're looking at the critical differences between a sewage ejector pump and a sump pump. I want you to just take a second and imagine a true nightmare scenario. You walk down your basement stairs after a massive storm, or maybe you're just doing a couple loads of laundry and squish, your foot hits a puddle. Or actually, let's make it worse. Imagine a completely flooded or literally sewage-filled basement, all because the wrong pump was installed and it just completely failed under a load it was never designed to handle. It's an incredibly expensive, totally foul-smelling disaster, and you know what? It happens way more often than you think, simply because people confuse these two very distinct devices. So, here's our roadmap for today. First, a tale of two pumps. Second, the sump pump explained. Third, the sewage ejector pump. Fourth, the head-to-head matchup. And finally, number 5, choosing the right pump. Let's kick things off with Section 1, a tale of two pumps, why choosing the right pump matters. You know, homeowners often use the terms sump pump and sewage ejector pump completely interchangeably. But listen, these two devices are engineered for entirely different plumbing demands. Treating them like they're the same thing, that creates serious safety and sanitation risks for your property. As our source material perfectly highlights, choosing the right pump matters because the wrong type can literally fail under the load it's given or create major safety and sanitation risks. Ultimately, it all comes down to what is actually flowing into that pit. Even if a basement pit is involved for both systems, the fluid source is what dictates the right equipment. And that perfectly sets the stage for our two contenders. Moving on to Section 2, the sump pump explained, the groundwater guardian. Think of this pump like a really tough, reliable bouncer whose single, solitary job is to grab any unwanted rainwater that sneaks into your basement and toss it right back out the door. By definition, a sump pump is typically installed in a sump pit in basements or crawl spaces where groundwater naturally collects. Its primary job is to lift, clean, or, relatively clear and lightly contaminated groundwater away from the home. It sends it out to a drain, a storm sewer, or some other approved discharge location. When we talk about groundwater here, we're specifically talking about water from heavy rain, snowmelt, or high water tables. Having this guardian in place is absolutely crucial to prevent basement flooding and stop moisture problems dead in their tracks before they can lead to nasty mold and weird odors. All right, Section 3, the sewage ejector pump, the heavy lifter. Now, if the sump pump is our bouncer tossing out clear rainwater, the sewage ejector pump is more like a heavy-duty industrial elevator. It's specifically designed to carry heavy, messy, solid cargo up to the main sewer line. So the really crucial point here is this. A sewage ejector pump is used when wastewater literally must be lifted from a lower level upward to a higher discharge point. This is super necessary when you have fixtures draining into a basement that sits entirely below the main sewer line. This system collects effluent from sewage-producing sources, think toilets and garbage disposals, and pumps it upward to connect to the home's main plumbing. It's built to do the heavy lifting when standard gravity drainage simply isn't an option. Let's put them in the ring. Section 4, the head-to-head matchup, groundwater versus wastewater. Okay, here is the core contrast you absolutely must remember. It's the whole shebang right here. The sump pump handles clean groundwater and pumps it out, away from the home. The sewage ejector pump, on the other hand, handles dirty wastewater and solids and pumps it up to the main sewer line. It's a fundamental difference in direction and in the actual type of fluid. We're talking clean versus dirty and pumping out versus pumping up. Let's rapidly fire off these specific operational differences because honestly, this is exactly where the costly mistakes happen. First up, what they handle. Groundwater versus sewage and solids. Second, discharge requirements. One goes out to a storm sewer while the other goes up to higher plumbing. Third, pump design. A sump pump is just a standard pump, whereas a sewage pump requires specialized components and hydraulics perfectly suited to move waste and debris without jamming. And finally, the risk of misuse. This is the big one, folks. If you run a sump pump on sewage, you are pretty much guaranteeing a gross, messy consequence. It's going to lead to massive clogging, premature failure of the pump, and immediate severe sanitation concerns inside your house. And trust me, that's a mess no amount of air freshener is ever going to fix. Which brings us to Section 5, choosing the right pump, knowing what's flowing. The golden rule here is quite simply knowing what's flowing. Let's walk through the essential steps to make absolutely sure your home is protected. Step 1. Determine your fluid source. If your goal is preventing groundwater seepage from flooding the floor, you start with a sump pump. But if you have toilets or sewage fixtures below the main line, you need a sewage ejector pump. Step 2. Consult your local plumbing codes. Seriously, don't skip this, because insulation requirements can and do vary widely depending on where you live. And step 3. Hire an experienced plumber. A real professional isn't just going to drop a pump in a hole and call it a day. They'll ensure you have the proper switch and float configuration. They'll dial in the check valve setup, and they'll ensure safe, code-compliant discharge routing so the system actually runs reliably for years to come. Both of these systems protect your home in very different ways, but only when correctly selected and properly installed. The wrong pump will inevitably fail under the load. Protect your home by knowing what's flowing. So I'm going to leave you with this thought as we wrap up this explainer. The next time you walk down into your basement, I want you to ask yourself, are you absolutely certain you know which guardian is sitting in that pit? And more importantly, is it the right one for the job? Take a look and make absolutely sure your home is truly protected.